Whoa, man. This is trippy.
Hey there, it's Ubi, and today we're going to talk about how I double-track my backing rhythm tracks to give it that big, thick wall of sound. It is a technique that has been used tons, especially from the 80s, and it definitely helps your metal and rock backing tracks sound thicker, fuller, and also teaches you how to clear out space for the rest of the instruments in your mix. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so when I go to record my tracks for the rhythm and backing tracks, what I do like to do is use a technique called double tracking, and that allows you to have a thicker, fuller sound by recording more than one version of your backing track, pushing them into the stereo field and panning them either to the left or to the right, which gives it kind of a bigger, thicker wall of sound feeling. So if we take just a standard track, so something like this, where we've got our guitar and a single tracks input. So let's go ahead and drop in some effects to make it sound like we've got our amplifier and everything else working with it. So put in some noise suppression, drop in our amp cap modeler. Obviously, you can put whatever you want for your own personal setups in there, but that's mine. All right. So what we could do, let's say this is going to be call this single track. And we're just going to record just a simple track real fast. So there we go. Sounds like a single track. Pretty straightforward, and you could probably just use that as is. Now, like I said, I actually like to use a technique called double tracking. So the easiest way to start with that would be simply just creating two tracks. So we're going to call this right track. And what we will do is we will bring up the controls for the right track on the console here, and we'll pan it to the right. So now when we play it, you can hear it in the right ear. So what you can the easiest way to do this is just go ahead and duplicate this track. So it's got the same setup for the noise suppression, THU, the whole 9 yards. We're going to call this left track. And we'll take left track down here and we'll pan it left. And if we record again, so then arm it for the chord. But basically, we just played the same track over it. If we solo this one, this is the one we just laid down. So if we put them together, we come up with... So you hear it there, I got a little sloppy at the end and they weren't perfectly in sync. So it's kind of giving you that out of a sync feeling. So the first downside to double tracking is you do have to get fairly close with each track to get them to sound good with each other. So what we'll do is we'll record that one once again, just so we get rid of that. So arm for record. And there you go. It gets kind of this reverby, delay, stereo feel to it whenever we do this. Now, that's all fine and good. This might be all you need. This might be the only track you need. But one inherent problem, especially with a digital rig like we have set up here, is I'm currently running THU in my noise suppressor twice. It's actually being run in 2 different times here. So if you want to take it to the next level and be that much more of a professional mixer, instead of running these through master, this is Cakewalk, obviously your DAW will be a little different. What we can do instead is we can run these into their own stereo bus, which you see, this is now running into bus D, which is down here. In Cakewalk, you can double click that and we can call this guitar bus. And when we click here, you can see that the guitar bus shows up on the Pro panel over here. Our guitar bus here is going to the master, and then our master here is going out. What you can do is you can take your noise suppression, you can drop it right on that bus. Take THU, drop it right on that bus as well. And now you can see over here in this noise suppression, THU now exists on this bus here, and we no longer need it in this track, because what's happening is these 2 tracks are going into this bus track where it's getting those. So if we hit play, we'll hear it sound almost exactly the same. We need to tell this one to go to the guitar bus as well. Make sure our noise suppression is set for stereo. It is, and then so what's happening now is these 2 raw tracks here are being mixed together and then run through a single bus where we're only running one version of the noise suppressor and one version of THU. So we have just freed up half of the resources that was needed there. For my machine, which is kind of beefy, I can run several versions of these before it becomes a problem. But your particular rig may not have as good of a CPU, may not have as much processing power, may not have as much memory, and so you may struggle a bit. What you can do is just do that, and yeah, you've got a more professional way to have your guitars mixed on the bus here. And you can even, under Cakewalk, if you can drop your console down, you can view your track down here as a track just like the others. You can even control automation, those sort of things now on a single track. So if you wanted to make, for example, if you want to make this section in here softer, before you would have to go in here and automate each one of these and lower them there. But now that you've got them both mixed into one bus, you can just lower the audio on the bus. You can pan on the bus, those sort of things. Allows you to take that double track that you've got there and manipulate it down here as if it is a single track.
Okay, so at this point, we've got a double-tracked backing track, but it's only pushed out left and right on panning. It's not actually out in the stereo field. Now, this is nice and thick. Since we do have the right track pushed over to the right and the left track pushed over to the left, it's got a nice thick sound to it. So if we play it,
what we've created here is kind of an organic bit of reverb that's been added into it without using a reverb pedal, but we're not actually pushed out into the stereo field. So if we were to put a lead track and a bass and drums, we'd all be fighting for that center of our channel. So the next step, and this is maybe the most important step for my double tracks, is that we want to push the things for this particular track out into the stereo field. So I use a free plugin called Wider. It is available, as I said, for free out there. And what it does is it allows us to push this out into the stereo field. So if we play, let's get this selected and we'll loop it.
so there is that, but we can push it out into the stereo field.
So what that does is actually opens up the center channel for other things to breathe, like your bass and your drums. And then when I am recording my leads for guitar, I like to drop them just a little bit out into the stereo field. Like right here, we're about 100% somewhere in that out in the stereo field. I'll push the lead guitar out about 50% and pan it just a bit to the left or just a bit to the right, just to make sure it also has its own little area out there. But once you've got your backing track panned out into the stereo field, then that plus your doubling makes that just a massive, thick wall of sound, which is great for hard rock and heavy metal. So there you go. That's how I do my backing tracks, especially for the rhythm. That track doubling is like I said, it's a technique, a studio technique that's been used so much on heavy metal, hard rock since the 80s, all the way up through today. And it's one of the ways that people get those really big, thick wall of sounds. And hopefully you've learned how to do it yourself. If you've got any additional tips, or if you want to talk about how this has made your tracks better, drop down the comments, leave me a comment, tell me all about it. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button for me, and we'll see you on the next video.